Afternoon everybody, Rich here, back for another video for the Diecast F1 review, and here today is the Benetton B191 for the 1991 Formula 1 World Championship, and the car shown is that of Michael Schumacher. Now the B191 was sort of the bridge between the end and the beginning of Formula 1 greatness. You had Nelson Piquet in the car, and was just ending his career, and in the other car, or at least at the end of the season, you had Michael Schumacher at the very beginning of his career. And between them, of course, they had 10 World Championships at the end of their careers. Piquet had gone into 1991 after 2 victories in the previous year with the Benetton B190, which was a big, if not overweight looking car, but it was still a beauty. The bright green and blue and red livery, and it looked pretty good anyway. Going into 1991, they had updated the 190 for the first 2 races of the season, and ruined it basically by painting it in this yellow and blue livery. It didn't look right on that car, but on this car it looked too bad. But the B191 started its career at the San Marino Grand Prix, and wasn't much that well. It was on the pace, but both drivers suffered with the wet weather, basically driving off the track. Also reliability issues for Piquet at the start of the Monaco Grand Prix, but by Canada things looked pretty good, with Piquet running second towards the end, and then on the last lap Nigel Mansell having a suspicious gremlin in the car, and the car coming to a halt and letting Piquet take the victory. There's a lot of debate at the time about, or a lot of debate now I think, about what happened to Mansell. I'm not going to speculate and just say he turned the engine off, but never mind. But yeah, the car was on the pace, and of course the first victory for Benetton that year, and the first victory for a raised nose car. The car with, this has a raised nose, as you can see here, front wing supported by 2 pillars, and it's the first one of these cars, first car with that nose to win a race. And within 4 years it would be the norm in Formula 1 to have this nose. But back to 1991, like I said at the beginning, it's the end of Formula 1 greatness in terms of Piquet. He retired at the end of the season and didn't really look back. And by the Belgian Grand Prix, or by the Italian Grand Prix rather, they had stuck Michael Schumacher in the car to partner Piquet, and Schumacher was on the pace straight away. The start of the Spanish Grand Prix, he was up into the top 2 or 3 behind the 2 McLarens, and he looked pretty good, but he dropped off the pace towards the end, or while the track was drying out. But he finished nonetheless at the end of the season with, I think, 5 points. Nothing spectacular, but for what he'd done in the short amount of time available, he had done pretty well, and looked set to go on to bigger and brighter things. The 191, this car, of course, was updated to B specification for the beginning of the 1992 season as well. I think it was the first 3 rounds, and podiums in 2 of the 3 races, I believe. Although Martin Brundle in the other car had problems, spinning off, crashing, reliability issues, all things like that. All the things that dogged Martin Brundle throughout his career. But yeah, it's definitely a, say not iconic car, but it's definitely a car that stands out. Bright livery and a bright driver at the wheel. But onto the model itself, and of course I said at the beginning, this is the Schumacher version. Of course there's no driver in the car, and also distinguishable by the badge on the side that says Schumacher there. And I have to say, this is one of the heavier models that Minichamps have produced. This really is a chunky model. It feels heavy compared to what it is. I mean, there's not a lot of car there, but it's definitely a chunky model. With these fat tyres as well, it really does add to the weight. And these are really nice, heavy, fat slicks. What Formula 1 needs to have. Also the wide track. I've already said this before. Wide track, fat tyres. That's what Formula 1 needs. Rant over. Anyway, this is a definite one up on for Minichamps anyway. It's a solid model. Like I said, big fat tyres. And the moulding of the diecast is superb as well. It's a really solid model. Hardly any plastic on the bodywork apart from the wing mirrors. And that's pretty much it. You've got the front wing supports, which are diecast as well. The front wing is pretty solid as well. It's solid. It's on there solid. It's a bit flexy, but it's not too bad. The front suspension, spin it round, is pretty solid as well, although a bit springy. And not a lot of movement in there either, because you've got the front wing which dips down between the rear wheels. It's sort of what they had at the time. If you look down here, you see the front wing goes between the front wheels there. The side end fences sort of produce diffusers between the front wheels. and they were banned later on in the decade. But yeah, they do. Well, not really. I don't think they do. So what's the word? Stop the front wheels from turning. That's the one. It wasn't one word. It was many words. Anyway, an absolute stunning model. And get it into view. Now, cockpit detail wise is not too bad. You got the seat belts in there, which are moulded into the seat and painted bright red. Got the single or the normal steering wheel with the single button there. You got the readout on the dashboard there, which has just gone out of focus, but not too bad there. And there's a very big cockpit as well. I think Martin Brundle said it's like sitting in a bathtub because it's such a big open space. And you sort of got dwarfed in there, but it is a very large space in there indeed. But a very nice car, I keep saying. And we'll do another quick zoom around the back as well. There's a very large rear end to this car. How Formula 1 cars should look, I think. We've got the rear end here, got the big diffuser at the rear, we'll just lift up. Got the large diffuser there. So the bodywork, how it all scoops into the rear there. Not a lot of detail, or say not a lot of parts on the diffuser, sort of primitive Formula 1, but you have got the small bars down there to support the jack, and the rear light there. The exhausts on the inside there, all inside the bodywork. Everything's hidden on this car. The bodywork goes right to the rear wing, which is basically right under the rear wing, which is something you don't normally see. Because what you do is there in normal Formula 1 these days, but it's mainly painted in carbon fibre or heat resistant material, so you don't really see the sleek lines that Formula 1 needs. But yeah, you've got some nice detailing on here. It's not, well, I'd say it's not hugely detailed, but you don't really need to. The cars those days weren't massively detailed, and aerodynamics are sort of still in the primitiveness. But we've got some nice detailing on the front suspension as well. We've got the support, well, I say support, we've got the where the front tie rods go through the bodywork there. You got the little coupler there. Got the Pushrod suspension sits in a hole there, but this should be a small groove. On the real car that would be a groove with the wishbone, not the wishbone, the pushrod will go up and down, but they've just put it on there with a bit of black paint. Still detailed enough. And you got the connector there for the lower wishbones at the back. There, you've got the sponsor logos around the side there. You've got the big bubble in the side there for the those are for the manual stick shift that they had at the time. Of course, they needed the bubble there so the driver didn't catch his hand on the inside of the cockpit. Now, I don't know if you can see, if I just spin the car around, I don't know if you can see. Oh, there you can. Yeah, there it is. The stick shift is just there. Yep, there it is in focus. Out of focus. Oh, come on, focus. Anyway, it's there. You can see, just see it there. Stick shift in there, and it goes right the way back to the rear there. So it's basically directly connected to the gearbox. So that's that. And of course, this model doesn't have the tobacco advertising on it. The camel has been blurred out with big blobs of that. Well, they do represent camel slightly, but you know, I don't think it'd take much to peel that off. But I'm not going to do that. I might ruin it. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 7 camel decals that need to be peeled off. But I'll say 8, 9. But I have seen a few people attempt that, and pulled it off quite well actually with their the detail that they do. But I'm not going to bother changing it. I'm quite creative, but if I try to do something, I'll probably end up ruining it. If I peel these off and stick the decals on, I'll probably end up ruining it. It's all right if it was a blank canvas. I'd probably have a go then, but as it says decals, that's got to come off. I don't really want to try it. But yeah, there are people who have got more balls than I have. But yeah, now I'll do the normal spinny round, and we'll do a quick posy underneath the car. I think I've already done this, but we'll do it again anyway. We've got the big flat bottoms of the car. We've got the Benetton Ford B191 there, the Minichamps brand, of course the made in China, and not so much a keel underneath, just a really fat chassis. Of course the norm of the time. Really nice detailing there. So we've got the diffuser. I already looked at that. I'll just do a quick pivot round that way, and I've got the camera quite at the wrong angle, but if we do a quick look that way, and you can see how fat the nose is, and it's really nice, sort of breath of fresh air for Formula 1 at the time, having a raised nose. I think, oh yeah, it was Tyrrell, wasn't it, who had introduced the raised nose, but not quite to this extreme. The front wing was in separate pieces, whereas this is all one piece, and from this angle it does look pretty good. Of course, no driver figure in the car as well. I think that's just licensing issues with the Schumacher name. Of course, when this model, and when I bought this model, it was back in, when was it actually? I've got the receipt here. Let's have a look, where is it? Can't really read it, hang on, let's have a look. Actually, I shouldn't have got that on camera because there's a card number on it. 14th of February 2006. Valentine's Day. Oh well, put that to one side. Yeah, Valentine's Day in 2006. That's when this car was purchased. And I think, actually, I should look at the price on it. And it was $39.99, so basically £40 at the time. That's for a brand new model, 9 years ago, nearly 10 years ago, and it's just ridiculous how much they've gone up since then. This model now, depending which version you get, because this car was rebranded again for the 92 version, for the B191B, basically slightly different to the decals and on Goodyear tyres. So if you want the 92 version, which I haven't got but I'll probably pick up one day, it's pretty cheap. It's say the Schumacher version, well, for the 191 version, the 91 version rather, the Schumacher version tends to go for about £40–50. It varies depending on the time of day, I suppose, but there's no real set limit for the Schumacher version. You do get a lot. Most of the ones I see now are decal conversions, which isn't too bad. I don't know if they actually released a PK version of this. I know they released, was it a Merino version? I'm sure it was. I'm not sure. I think it was the Merino version they released. The PK version, if they did release it, I haven't seen it recently, or haven't seen it at all. But I'll have to do a bit more digging on that one. But for 92, they did release the Schumacher version as well, and also the Brundle version. The Brundle version, I think, is the one I'll pick up, but that tends to go for about £40, depending, on the buy it nows. But they don't come up for bids very often. And there is one going around on eBay, which is this car with a Schumacher, a Ferrari Schumacher figure in it, which is a bit laughable, really. But they know who they are, and it's been pointed out a number of times on various diecast forums. It comes up Benetton B191 with Schumacher figure. Yeah, the wrong year, the bright red. It doesn't look right. But it's one of the issues you have with this model. Of course, there's no driver figure in it as as default, but never mind. Yeah, price range. I can't really give a certain price marker on it for the Schumacher version. But yeah, not much else I can say about it. Like I said, though, it did come out for they did update it for the 92 version, which I will pick up at a later date. Not really needed to do a review because, of course, I've got the B191 here already. Box it comes in is just a normal Minichamps box. If I just plonk that to one side, and yeah, there it is. The usual Minichamps box with the branding on the side. Oh look, there's me, Benetton Ford B191. Not much else to say about that. Just a normal Minichamps box, and I think I just broke something when I dropped it down there. Never mind. Right, but yeah, it's a definite go with this one. But yeah, I would recommend picking it up. Of course, it's yellow, and I do like yellow Formula 1 cars. You don't see them very often. I think the last one was in 2010 with the Renault, but I would pick this one up. It's part of Schumacher's history. It's part of PK's history as well, and it does look good on display. Of course, it's in the usual Minichamps box as well, so it blends in quite nicely with the rest of the collection. So I'd pick it up any day. Well, I've already picked it up, so but if I were you, pick it up, and you'll be happy with it, because it is a really tough, strong model. There's no real weak parts on it. The rear wing is on there solid. The front wing is pretty, I wouldn't say it's flexy, but it's on there solid. The suspension is pretty solid. The wing mirrors they're on there pretty well, but especially if you knock them quite hard enough, they'll break off. But they're on there pretty solid. They're not flexy at all, and the there ain't a huge amount of bits to break off. It's not like the modern cars where there's, well, say 08 era cars with sticky out bits all over them. But there's not a lot of bits that will break off on this one. And it looks good as well, so a plus on both sides there. But anyway, that's my review. And if you want to request a review, if you know, I have done a few requests already. If you want to let me know if you want a model done, let me know, and I shall see if I can get around to doing it. So yeah, but this is Rich signing off, logging off and disappearing, and I shall return with another review. So bye for now.